Hello everyone, my name is Cuiba Maloney. I'm the events manager with Limerick Chamber. Unfortunately, our COD is not available this morning to welcome our speakers. As you may have seen, we've had a busy week here in the Chamber with the launch of our future Limerick report. So I'll do my best in trying to fill big shoes. So welcome everyone to Driving and Enabling Business Growth post-Covid-19, and what a year it was. The impacts of the pandemic are far-reaching across many businesses and sectors. So we really hope that today's session will help share knowledge that might help you in finding the balance with the return to normality and achieving all the goals that were set during the pandemic, with all the shifts that business owners had to make. We have a fantastic panel of speakers who have generously given their time to share with you today. So I'm honoured to welcome Roisin Bennett of Marketing Mentors, Stephen Kneen of Treaty City Brewery, who will be joining us shortly, he just has an issue, and Pat Phelan of Sisu Clinic. I won't take too much of your time today, so I'll just run through a few housekeeping points. I know there's a lot of Zoom fatigue happening out there, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And while you're here, I would encourage you to make the most of the time we're sharing together by popping in a little hello. I saw Gwen has already said a little hello there, and Nicola. And I would encourage you to make the most of the time we're sharing by popping in the little hellos or where you're logging in from today. And then if you have any questions throughout the session, we will have a Q&A at the end of today's webinar. So any questions you have throughout the session, just pop them into that chat feature or the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screens, and I'll post them to today's panel at the end of today's session. Also, just to let you know that today's session is being recorded and will be shared across Chamber Communications from our newsletter, website and YouTube page. We'll also issue the recording to those registered if you wish to share amongst your peers. Now that the housekeeping is taken care of, I'm delighted to welcome our first speaker, Roisin Bennett of Marketing Mentors. Roisin is also a member of the Limerick Chamber Marketing Collective and a Limerick Chamber member. Roisin founded Marketing Mentors. She's an award-winning marketeer, a seasoned entrepreneur and an experienced mentor. So we are definitely in safe hands today. Marketing Mentors provide support along with helpful toolkits to help effectively and efficiently build your business for success. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to the very safe hands of Roisin.
Well, good morning all. I'm delighted to be here. Roisin Bennett is my name, and as Cuiba said, my business is called Marketing Mentors. And Marketing Mentors is a platform I set up in order to provide a place for small business, new business, entrepreneurs, startups, access to mentor-led training and information in all things marketing. We're data driven, and it's we call ourselves growth marketers, and there is a difference between growth marketing and traditional marketing. It's traditional marketing, maybe with layers of data and techniques that we apply to traditional marketing. Growth marketing focuses on using creative, low-cost strategies to help businesses acquire and retain customers. We differ from traditional marketers in that we focus on the entire customer funnel and not just the top of the funnel. So as marketing technology has advanced, so has the sophistication of the growth marketing field. And our growth marketers use data-driven techniques to experiment with different channels and strategies, and use a range of innovative experiments and constant analysis to increase the user base and lower costs as quickly as possible. So to sum that up, it means that we work with our clients, in a way that is more cost effective and faster for experimentation. So today's presentation, the year that we've had, it has been so challenging for everybody, and also for marketeers, because everything has changed, but particularly the customer behaviour. And what we're going to talk about today, is all about putting the customer at the heart of what you do, using data to build relationships and gain competitive edge, and to leverage technology to do more with less, and to market with empathy and personalisation. So the whole area has been so disrupted. The acceleration of a change has been incredible. there's been a proliferation of content online as we've all kind of tried to get our messages out there online. The biggest challenge actually going forward is that there's so much content online. It's difficult to stand out and have your voice heard. How do you get your message across when everybody else is doing it as well? Also, I suppose by being online and doing business online, it's opened up competitors from across the world. So how do you stand out and get your voice heard? That's kind of one of the biggest challenges for marketers right now, and how we can help you. We believe that the answers are in the data that we now have access to, how we can use advanced data techniques for gathering information on your customer and using analytics and research to help you now communicate in a different way with your client. So the other challenges that are there right now is the whole area around data protection and security and use of people's data. So that in itself represents a challenge, but it is the customer and the consumer, and they own the data, and we have to be very cognizant of that. So as I said, sorry, I was wrong slide here. I wanted to go to going digital first. That is critical for all businesses going forward. COVID has introduced a wave of rapid digitization, as we know, and the need to adopt a truly customer-centric approach in everything we do is critical. Like being a digital first brand isn't a new concept, but it's now a critically important one for every business. Whether you're a large corporation, a local trader, being digital and going digital first is now critically important. I suppose the pandemic has dramatically increased the speed at which digital is fundamentally changing business models, and the shift towards a digital approach almost overnight, from daily meetings to events, everything pivoted to being virtual and online. So it puts businesses with strong online offerings ahead of the competition. So it's something that you have to consider for your organizations. And we would say that businesses must adapt to the massive change in digital, and also to people working remotely, and people's shopping patterns have completely changed. So the answer, as we would see it, is that technology is the answer. Using technology to empower growth. The technology holds the key to the new age of digital marketing, and whether it is engaging with your customers across social channels or initiating targeted campaigns, the right marketing solution will enable you to look beyond the traditional approach to marketing and acquiring new customers. So leveraging technology to do more with less. And that's what we're about. In these times of slashed marketing budgets, and with customers spending a large chunk of their time online, traditional marketing channels are now losing traction. Digital marketing, on the other hand, gives you access to a global audience in a much more effective and cost-effective way. So, but when we talk about technology, it's also the technology that is there now. It allows us to use analytics and social listening, so that we can create more focused and engaging communications with your potential client. And if you're not looking at all the current technological changes, which are accelerating in part because of the pandemic, but then you should be. You need to ask yourself how these changing technology patterns affect your client, your customer ultimately, and your business, and how you're positioning yourself for the future with a competitive differentiation in order to be successful. So that is what we do. The importance of personalization in your marketing is also critical, because you have so many online businesses vying for the same business now. And as I said, by being online, it's opened up competitors across the world, really. I mean, if you look at some of the retail shops, even locally here in Limerick, that have started to promote their videos and promote their businesses online, it has, I think, amazed them in that it has opened up businesses their online business has opened up, outside of Ireland, whereas they would traditionally have been just a local shop selling to the immediate catchment area. So understanding how you can grow that is critically important. There was a big I think during COVID, there was great support from the local enterprise boards in that they were supporting people and building websites, and that was great, and getting people online. But there's more to trading online and using technology than just having a website. And sometimes what we've seen is that the websites, they're not set up to convert business or to grow, or to I suppose to for the business to grow business. So that needs to be looked at, and you have to be very cognizant of that. That your website should actually be working for you. It should be another member of the team driving business and converting business. The importance of personalization is important. The consumer has become quite demanding. They expect that the brand recognizes where they are, what platforms they're on, what their needs are, and they want the delivery of that. They want the delivery of that from the outset right through to the sales and the after sales. That they will be that you will be speaking to them digitally online, and that you're recognizing their needs. So technologies, they offer a complete 360-degree customer view and can help you connect more contextually and meaningfully going forward. So technology, it's the challenge, but it's also the key. It's also the key to engaging and with your customers more effectively and cost effectively. Yeah. So this was just a graph I had put up comparing traditional marketing and growth marketing. And as you can see, the growth marketing, we look at is the full funnel from the very time of from awareness right through to the revenue part of the sales and the referral. And that is the difference in growth marketing. It's right through to the actual sale. So that is the interesting thing about, I wrote an article about this last week on LinkedIn, and it got a lot of reaction. And the article itself, I wrote with using artificial intelligence, AI, and I'm just telling you that because it was the sophistication now of data collecting and technology means that we can deliver content that it read like it was from me. It was of a very high quality, and I got a lot of commendations with it, but it was actually generated by AI. And I'm just telling you that because that is the future of technology. So yeah, I'm sorry, my slides have gone in all different directions here. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of going back on things, but so the important points are that, people are shopping differently. In marketing departments, we're reassessing where we spend our money. Brands are reimagining customer experiences because we have to, because the consumer has changed. Their buying journey has changed. Just how permanent all of this new landscape remains to be seen, but it's clear that businesses have to adapt to stay relevant in the times that we're in. And I suppose we've all seen it, the big trend at the forefront of marketers' minds is the accelerated shift towards e-commerce. prior to COVID, most consumers were enjoyed kind of a mix of online and offline. Now the stats are that, you know, this is a trend that's going forward. Now 90% of consumers buy online as much as possible, including demographics that were previously never had done so. So as stores reopen to offer a different retail experience, this trend is set to remain strong for the foreseeable future. I mean, more than 70% of consumers in 39 countries have changed their buying patterns since the onset of COVID. So they're switching brands, they're switching platforms and places where they shop. So this sea change has renewed the focus on understanding customers as far as possible and at a far more granular level, and on building stronger relationships through better personalisation and new offerings. So organisations also need to think about understanding the drivers behind this change, these changing customer needs, and on their customers, or you know, the customers will go elsewhere. So you have to really understand first and foremost your customer and the changed behaviours, what they're thinking, where they're shopping, and you have to be there digitally online for that journey. The companies that spend the extra time to take care of customers that are online doing this digitally, the companies that go above and beyond the promised scope, the companies that get personalised and human with their customers, and these are the brands that are going to win in the end. And these are the brands that are successfully trading right now, that have come out of those that have gone digital first, that have personalised their approach to their customers, that understand their customers' journey, and they're the ones that are doing business, that have come out the other end, you know, winning new customers. So this is something that we all have to consider. If we as an agency, we have maybe 100 mentors access to that are specialists in digital marketing, in growth marketing, and on our platform you have access to this expertise. What we'd like to offer today to anybody that's present here today, that you can book. Caoimhe will give you the contact details, but we would offer an audit of your marketing strategy and a marketing plan. So if any of you are interested here today, because it is a complex area, there's a lot involved. The important thing to understand though is that you have to think customer first. You have to go digital, use technology wisely and efficiently, and the data that is now available to us, use it to build your strategy and the plan that is customized to your customer. And we would be delighted to talk to any of you if we could help you in that journey, because as I said, it is an area of expertise that maybe not many companies have in-house, but that and we would encourage people to outsource it, because it's what's needed right now. Going over some old slides here. So I suppose the important thing to consider as well is that in your planning, plan for the future. You need to look beyond. Like we saw during the year, a lot of businesses they went straight into social media selling or advertising, and they were like just short-term reactions. What we really need to do is look beyond the reactive short-term tactics, and to look at long-term strategies. They will be key to sustainable growth, and using the in-depth data that we have and expert support, and with insights from brands across sectors. The question for brands is how they can acquire and retain happy customers now and in a post-COVID world. So what to do next is get in contact with us, and we'll help you devise a plan. So I'm sorry, my slides have gone in different directions here, so I'm going back over old ones. But if I'd be delighted to take any questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much, and look forward to maybe sharing your marketing journey with you.
Thanks, Roisin, that was fantastic. So a lot of food for thought there. So if I could ask anyone, if you have any questions like that as the sessions go on today, you can pop them into the chat feature there or in the Q&A feature that's located at the bottom of your screens. So our next speaker has had quite the morning and he's really gone above and beyond to join us there this morning. So we're really grateful and appreciative, and I'm thrilled to introduce Stephen Kineen of Treaty City Brewery. Treaty City is a brand now synonymous with Limerick, from the shores of Vancouver to the banks of the River Shannon. Treaty City has evolved and grown throughout the years and has become a brand dear to the hearts of many Limerick natives. I, for one, am a Thomond Red Ale girl. So Treaty City has many facets to its name, ever evolving, and thankfully Stephen is actually going to talk us through his journey in navigating the impact of the pandemic today.
Hey guys, how's it going? How are you? I'm just looking at myself in the video there. It looks like I've been sleeping rougher for 3 weeks. The reopening is taking its challenge, or is proving a challenge. How's things? I hope everyone's morning is going well. We had a bit of an issue, I think I was alluding to there, was we had a keg washer implode this morning, and I'm actually calling you from a shed in Cork. We had an emergency, so please excuse the surroundings and the fact that I looked like I didn't get any sleep last night. For those of you who don't know me, Stephen Kineen is my name. I'm a manufacturing engineer. A bit of background about myself: I'm a manufacturing engineer by trade. I trained in LIT where I did a diploma, and then I went to UL and did a degree. And then from there I went to Intel, and that was my first job. I was 3 years with Intel. Caoimhe mentioned Vancouver there. After a brief time in Portland in Oregon with Intel, I moved back to Dublin, and then we moved for a long period of time to Canada. Vancouver in Canada, which is my spiritual home, the Pacific Northwest. Lovely, lovely place. Full of craft beer, and really, like, it was my formative years, right? So I was about 26 when I moved over, and I know when we moved back, I have a Canadian daughter, and I'm the owner, proprietor, and general do everything that the lads don't do, or when a keg washer explodes, or of Treaty City Brewery. We're a small batch brewery based in Limerick City, a small batch handmade artisan brewery. We have 2 facilities. The first facility is on Childers Road, about 100 miles in that direction. And the second, Childers Road, just opposite Costa Coffee, a big 4,000 square feet production facility. So the brew length is about 3,000 litres per batch. And we pump, basically, that's manufacturing. We have a second facility which came online pre-pandemic. I don't know what that even feels like now. What was it like to not have a pandemic and a mask? In 2019, I'd say we opened in the end of May, but like when you open a business, the first 3 or 4 weeks or months are just kind of madness, right? We kind of settled into our groove somewhere in the region of October, November timeframe, and we were getting our revenue streams coming online. The tours were going very well. It was kind of moving, and pre-pandemic, that was 2019 coming into the pandemic. The brand itself and the brewery itself, while its origins and even the nature of the business we're in is quite in flux, we were quite a traditional brand. If you look at the labeling and the marketing that we had, it was based on what I liked, Treaty City, and Steve being the Treaty City head, and I brewed the beers that I liked, and the labels, if you look at the old labels there, the logos and stuff, is what I liked. Now you have to understand, when in the start we were 2 people. I was a brewery and me, right, and my wife helped as well, but I was doing everything. So to get into the kind of pandemic and how we kind of pivoted, I see we came into that December timeframe in 2019, and it was a very strong for us. A lot of corporate business. People would book out the brewery in Nicholas. We had a front of house. It's kind of like a brew pub, but you could also be in the brewery and touch the tanks and feel it and do tastings, which was brilliant. At that point, I saw Roisin there was mentioning about mentoring and stuff like that. I have a mentor for marketing that I do dip in and out of every so often. I highly recommend it if you're not a marketing guru, and like myself, if you're don't know the marketing arena, I would highly recommend a mentor. Same as finances, I go to the bank and run. It has to be prominent in your end to drive your business on. But so we came into 2019, December 2019, everything was looking up. Okay, I have a marketing mentor that I went to. I need to kind of improve our marketing slightly. We want to get online. We want to be more digital. What can we do? Now, at that point, we had labels that were pretty much designed by Steve. I'm very controlling of my business, right? And I would literally stand over the graphic designer and go, put that here and move this here and do that. So I asked him in turn, I said, have you got someone in mind? Do you know someone that could maybe help us and kind of elevate our marketing game and our online presence? The posts were really me. Any posts we did on social media were me giving the posts. And if you look back through any of our Facebooks or Instagram, if you look back through the old posts, you can literally hear my voice. It's typing. I'm dyslexic, so I type as I talk. I do that. That's how you can hear me in the posts, you know. The idea was that we wanted to move a bit outside of it being Stevie, and we needed to grow the company. Fast forward to February 2020, who would have thought a massive pandemic was rolling in from China. Yeah, I remember those early days when we were laughing at masks and, you know, shaking hands and stuff like that. It's all grand. Yeah, who would have known? But it was really hit home for me. I had my own 40th birthday in the brewery on the 7th of March, and we were keeping social distance, but it was still kind of, you know, when it was. And March the 16th hit, we had what I call I term now is and the team know as our come to Jesus meeting, right? It was really kind of fire and brimstone. And I remember going into the meeting, and I remember thinking to myself, you know, try to hold it together, Steve. You're supposed to be the Napoleon of this group, right? I have a young enough team. We had taken on a girl just in February as that marketing kind of element, and very, very, very individual person. Very, very big treaty head is what we call him in the term people, but treaty oriented, but still very, very individual. I wasn't going to hire her because of basically CVs. I had someone who I thought was better. She got into the interview and she nailed the interview. I really, really, really went well. But anyway, fast forward to this come to Jesus meeting, the 16th of March, and I was kind of going, okay, whatever you need to do, but you need to be Napoleon now in the meeting. You need to get in. Young team, they need to look at you and we need to look up. Yeah, so we at that point when we were getting some feedback from the market. Our main feedback was we were B to B to C. So treaty to the pubs or the off licenses to the customer who was purchasing off of those. We had some interaction. We looped over some interaction, which was B to C. A couple of posts and stuff, but nothing massive. We did some front of house stuff, really not capitalized on. Had that come to Jesus meeting, and yeah, it was really painful. As I'm sure everyone knows it, right? Not just from a visit point of view, from a personal point of view, extremely emotional and stressful couple of months, even still, right? I mean, the government, you know, whatever. I'm not any affiliation to any party or anything, but you know, after those 6 weeks where they started to step in with help and stuff like that, it really was amazing and it saved our business. But what we did in that meeting was we assessed the assets we had. And as an engineer, right, my assets that I was listing were the brewery in Nicholas Street, the stock, the keg washer that's now exploded, the kegs, the brewer that we had. And over the course of the meeting, we started trashing out, okay, we have X amount of stock. This is what we can do. This is what we can physically make. This is how much stock we have left raw materials we've left to make the stock we have, or to make more stock. And then we have X amount of bills. So it was really panic stations, you know, Titanic stuff. We had somewhere in the region of 60 to 100 Ks worth of stock, either in fermenter or in barrel or in cans or bottles. At that time, we didn't do cans. It was a very stressful time, and we like when I looked at it, I remember listing out the resources and kind of going, okay, what are my resources? How can I go? And it became abundantly aware. I was abundantly aware of the fact that I was underestimating my staff as an asset. I wasn't counting the fact that we had a world-class brewer. We had a salesman who'd sell scent to the Arabs, really would, right? Very, very good. Now, he's a face-to-face guy. The phone is not so good, but you live with it in a global pandemic. But we had Alana, who's the marketing element, and she was really untried and untested, and wasn't a really well known. So I didn't really know what that asset could do if you think of a person like an asset. So we said, okay, the first was to, and I hate to use the word jettison, but draw down our stock, right? I'm very proud of the product we do. We do a world-class beer. We are the best of the best of the best by any standard. So I don't want to say we want to try to get rid of stock, but from a business point of view, I was looking at money in stock, and I couldn't, we needed to move. So what we started to do was I got Alana online, and she looked at our 3 sales channel, or our three social media channels. Twitter, I find very stressful with Twitter because it's really a conversation. Instagram is more visual, and Facebook for me is more kind of declarative. I don't know if that's even a word. If you're making a declaration, you do it on I don't know, Roisin will probably tell you different to that, right? But so what we looked at, and we said, okay, what can our marketing department do, and how can we reach out to the people that we are there? Our channels, so our Twitter and our Instagram, started to feed back personal comments on any post that we put up. Hey guys, we're still alive. We get personal comments. Hey, hope everything is okay. Delighted that you're there. Keep the faith, basically. And slowly but surely, we started to see growth of our customers. That B2B became B2C very quickly. And what happened then was I kind of disengaged from the day-to-day typing, and Alana took over, right? And Alana has a really, really great way of, how would I say this, non-personalized speaking, but personalized. So to do a post that's from the heart and from treaty and speaks with the voice of the company, but without being from a specific individual. And she started speaking out there, and we came up with a strategy, and this is going to, when I look back and I write my memoirs, it's going to look as if this was all planned, but I'll tell you, this was real kind of on the fly stuff and, Wild West stuff. So we started selling online, right? I have a producer's on sale license with Nicholas Street. We were the first in the country to have it, which allows us an off sale license. So we said, okay, we have an off sale license. We're selling it to Fine Wines and O'Brien's, and those guys were amazing for the support they gave us, and all of the local off licenses really, really, really did great for us. But we needed to reach our customer direct, and we had all this stock that it was going to take a long time methods to get through. So what we started to do was we started to put up online. We put up online that we had more stock available to buy direct. So basically, we when it came out, people started buying boxes directly off of us, and we started moving through our stock. Now at the early days, I had Stephen going around, and I had Stephen delivering the stock in the van. So if you phoned or if you WhatsApped or whatever you did to get contact us through our social media messaging channels, you got Stevie delivering to your door on a Friday evening. And once things settled, and once our global or kind of everyone kind of figured out what was going on in that August time frame, people kind of knew, okay, well, we can buy from Treaty. We looked at our other assets, then the traditional assets, the hard steel, and we said, okay, well, what can we do? We started to do new beers. Okay, we've got a small batch system. We can't brew on the big system because that's going to take too much stock. It's going to take too much time to move. We can brew on the small system. So we started brewing on the small batch beers. We then tapped into a
I think we might have lost you there, Stephen, at the end of that session.
Again, I don't know if I necessarily... Can you hear me?
You're breaking up there, Stephen.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Perfect.
Sorry, so I know I'm running out of time. I just keep talking. And so it was the do more with more, I'd say. If you have a marketing... I would say out of the global pandemic of the brands in Limerick, I would say we did very, very well, and we were definitely in the top 10 of visuals there and who's out there, and if not higher, right? And what I would say to people starting on this journey is it's a massive journey. Think of it like bringing on a sales department or bringing on a maintenance department. And even though we redid our visuals, we redid our branding, redid our labels, the types, the styles of beers, how we talk to people. And I mean, we did all that online. So every pages were funneled online. Even so much so that we would put up polls on our Instagram and go, do you like the blue? Do you like the red? Would you like to see ales? Would you like to see lagers? And a direct link to our customer. So the customer was saying, I want a Pilsner with a blue label and a green top. And it allowed us to go, okay, we need just to fulfill that order. It sounds very simple, right, when you do it that way, but and it's not that easy to build up the kind of relationship. I completely agree with Roisin. Is that the issue now is I need the longer term. So we had a real kind of firefighting strategy from the pandemic. Now I'm looking and I'm engaging my marketing mentor. This isn't the sale, right? I'm not trying to get business for Roisin, right? But I'm engaging my marketing mentor to come online and to teach me about dashboards. How do I measure this? I'm an engineer, so I love to measure. I like to see. I put in X, I take out Y. This is what the results are. So that's kind of where we're moving now. And I'm redoing, even though I would say our marketing strategy and our implementation and our online strategy was very, very scary means on paper and a plan. It was really on the fly. It was very successful, like hugely successful. And it changed how we did. Going back and we're redoing it all again. So it's not one of these things like if you buy a keg washer that explodes and it's done and it's fixed. This is a new thing to me because I don't use social media much and it's a whole new element to me and you have to redo it. So yeah, I'm seeing like things flashing up on the screen, but Steve, you're talking too much. So is that okay? Am I gone over my time? Or
no,
okay?
you're perfect. Thank you so much, Stephen. Like you have had quite.
Does that give you a kind of a broad spectrum in a shed in Galway Station?
It was the perfect presentation from a shed in Cork. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
So without further ado, I'm actually going to welcome our final speaker today, and that's Pat Phelan. And he is the owner of Sisu Clinic. Founded in 2018, Sisu Clinic has grown rapidly and expanding to a number of locations throughout the US, Ireland and Northern Ireland, most recently in the heart of Limerick City, based on O'Connell Street. Sisu provides bespoke customer care and expertise. They're an innovator in aesthetic, medicine and patient care. Sisu is the leader in its field and set for an amazing future. And with such an amazing story of growth and impact and on the cusp of an opening here in Limerick, we're thrilled to welcome Pat today to talk about Sisu's journey and overcoming any challenges that were presented by the pandemic, especially in your industry, Pat.
Hi everybody, and thanks for the welcome, and thanks Steve and thanks Roisin. Really good to listen to both of you. I think firstly anyway, I'd really like to thank Limerick, because what I found immediately was that the council were really quick to interact with us, really quick to support us, especially around rates. I think they were also really quick to get the city looking well, even though I know there's a bit of construction at the moment, but we'll get there. But you know, I think around pedestrianisation, I think around street cleaning, it was all very dramatic, and we have clinics all over the country. So I think a big boss for Limerick on that. And I think what we've seen from our business is what we call a brandemic rather than a pandemic. And I think what's happened is that brings about huge opportunities for all of us. I think that the opportunities are there now for the smaller retailer, and we're a retailer as well as the clinic, of course. So we have this opportunity where we can really compete against the big guys now on service with the move towards D2C, direct to consumer on the internet. And that's changed the whole game. So that's been a real focus of ours, I think. As this hit us, obviously being a clinic that people have to visit, we were left without a business. We weren't sure how to react, really. Obviously, people come to us for treatments, and if you're locked in your houses, you tend to find that you don't have a requirement for treatments, the same way you don't have a requirement for haircuts or anything like that. And we had to really begin engaging our patients. That meant engaging them online, engaging them with direct messages, engaging them by email, but more importantly, engaging them with video. So what we decided, the first thing we decided to do immediately was to start doing videos around skincare during a pandemic and looking after your skin, while you're in lockdown, essentially. Behind that, that went super successful. Videos were really highly streamed. Behind that, we built a large D2C business out of nothing. I'm actually in Cork today, and I used to hop on my bike every morning, wanted to keep fit. I'd cycle into Cork. We came up with a number of pretty innovative products that would go well. So teeth whitening kits, teeth whitening lamps, custom made toothpaste, and all our beauty products. And I used to cycle every 5K every morning into the clinic, pack everything, go to the post office because we didn't have any arranged, send everything, come back, check if there was any reviews on the product, cycle back home, and do the same thing every day. And that was kind of it for the first lockdown. And it worked out really well. It's now a business that employs probably 6 to 7 people on its own, only getting bigger. And then it was kind of that piece where we really wanted to engage the patients to let them know that we were going to come back. And how did we get them into the clinic? And we had a kind of a stroke of luck there. There was the emergence of this thing, which we're all fed up of, and we can all see today, of course, is what's called the Zoom boom, where people got really, really pissed with looking at themselves and decided, hey, if I can go fix this thing that really bothers me here for 140 euros, I'm going to go get it fixed. And the clinics really exploded. That led us to large belief in the market. We expanded dramatically. We now have 10 clinics open in Ireland and the UK, 3 more opening in Ireland, 1 in Sutton, 1 in Castleknock, and another one in Ann Street, 6 opening in Miami. In the middle of all this, I closed a large round of fundraising and landed in Dublin the last day of the last closed shutdown. So it was pretty hectic, but very positive. You know, I'm surrounded by a bunch of really positive people. I've done this before. So previous to this, I founded a technical company that I sold to a large US operation. Prior to that, I founded a mobile company that I again sold to a large American operation. What I found was that people were the most important thing in my organization. I think Steve said it there. He didn't know how good the people. I think you don't understand how good your team are until you're in times of adversity. And that's what really came up to us. We found that the people we have just really rallied together. You know, it used to be myself and this fella here behind me. He's kind of, there he is. And we'd be in here, and that was it. That was what we had, and that was everything we tried to do. And it was really, you know, use what we had in the most efficient way. But it was hard. And you know what I find as well is that now that we're back, you're kind of exhausted because we've really had no holidays, rest, break. Any of us who are employers and self-employed, it's been a really difficult time. And I think now is kind of a little bit of time that, even though I know now is the time to, you know, make the revenues, etc., but I also think it's time to look after ourselves a little bit. We've probably all been under a little stress. If it's back, try take some break, try jump on a bike, try do a class, get some downtime. And I think the other thing that's probably for most people out there, there are huge grants around marketing. I see Pat Carroll on there, and he's been helpful, I know, in Limerick to everybody. So there's grants around marketing, there's grants around website, there's grants from your local enterprise board, Limerick City Council, etc. They've all been fantastic. And that's what I think has been great. You know, I'd probably give them a hard time on Twitter and all these social media channels. But I think the local councils have been incredible in this. And I think with the renovations on O'Connell Street, you know, people mightn't know this, but my dad had 3 pubs in Limerick. So I kind of grew up a little bit in Limerick. So my dad used to own that beautiful pub in South Hill called Galvone many, many moons ago. And we had another one in the shopping centre called the Spinning Wheel, and another one across from the railway station. So I spent a lot of time in Limerick. But I think the city is going to be amazing. I think it's it's one of my favorite places, and I think it's going to turn out very well. So that's kind of it. I think support your team, get some rest, make sure you can get the benefits of everything that's out there. Engage with the council, engage with the local enterprise board, engage with BOI, who've been amazing to us. And there's no magic thing. There's no magic shots here or anything. You've got to just get the support you can, and the support of the people around you, and the support of your team. So with that, I'll hand back to Kiva and say thanks for the
Thank you so much, Pat. Yeah, that was fantastic. And definitely some recurring themes I see coming up here with the team, and obviously with trying out new experimental tactics. So I'm just going to add on our speakers there again. Roisin, if I could ask you to share your video as well. And what we'll do is we'll take any questions you have from the floor there as well. So if you pop any questions you have for today's panel onto the chat feature or the Q&A feature located at the bottom. I see our president, Donncha Hurley, has actually popped in a question there. So to Pat, as you scale, how do you ensure service consistency across the clinics, and what service auditing do you do?
We do secret shoppers. We're obsessed with Google reviews. So I know that I think we're at 5,000 now, 5,000 5-star reviews. So we built some stuff using Forest where we've, by the way, that's the secret sauce to everything. Your reviews are the secret sauce to everything because Google loves them. The other thing you should have is Google My Business. Google My Business is the #1 source of CSU leads. It's totally free. It costs us zero. So we open a location for every clinic. Everybody gets requests for a review afterwards. If anybody gives us under 5-star, I had one this morning. They're immediately contacted by me, not by anyone else. Sorry, what went wrong? How do we how do we change this 3 to a 5, 4 to a 5, 1 to a 5? Let's get you back in. So we're obsessive about service. We have a number of, we've actually moved away from WhatsApp because I find it's a mind melt, and we've used a couple of other tools, Slack, etc., which can be a bit more directed. I think WhatsApp has turned into this almost on. And I think for all of us, we all know that the always on has to end at some time.
And it's like you mentioned with the burnout as well.
Yeah, that's really careful at the moment. I think it's, I can definitely feel it anyway. Maybe that's a personal thing.
Thank you for that. And Roisin, I'm just going to pose another question to you, and it's based off of what Stephen mentioned there. So obviously, Stephen, you took the risk with Alana, and she was not tried and tested, as you said, but she presented an awful lot for you in terms of the type of content there is. And obviously, Roisin, there are a few tools that you can use and implement in your digital marketing, especially with your content, and ensure that branding is consistent. Like obviously we have Pablo Buffer and Canva. Is there any other tools that you could recommend that people could look at?
Well, there are so many tools. There's an incredible amount of tools. But what I would say for Stephen there, what he did was he engaged with his customers straight away. I mean, that your success was you kept in contact with your customer. You spoke from the heart. It was personal. It was real, and you were probably consistently doing it. They're the people, and using video as Pat said. That has been a game changer. If you're and the secret to all of these social platforms is turning up, is talking to your client directly, being real. As you said, you engaged with them, Stephen, and you were actually getting customer feedback, but you're building your community at the same time. And so I think they were probably the real wins for you, and you saw the traction that you started to develop as you went along, because people wanted to hear. During the pandemic, some companies just went quiet, and the ones that stayed in contact and were there, sharing the experience, they're the ones that stayed top of mind with their clients. So brilliant for that, Stephen. Even though you were doing it on the fly, it was the right thing to do.
It's also a negative, like, I don't know how everyone feels about it, but for me, it's not just so that we get positive feedback. And just to speak to what Pat saying, it's negative as well. If I want to know if I'm going in the wrong direction, if I'm doing something wrong and people don't like the label or people want to know, there is an element you have to be careful, right? You have to steer your business, right? But in general, I wanted to know if it was negative and if it was coming back. I don't like these beers. We don't like high ABV. And by the end of it, after 6 months, we were able to profile our customers very, very tightly. This is when they shop, this is who they are, this is their age group, and this is the type of beer. And for, different profile, different beers. And it's, so it's not just a positive, we want everyone going, rah, rah, rah. It's kind of, I want to know, like Pat, I want to know where the negatives are as well, right?
Yeah, well, that's social listening. That's using the channels to hear what your client want and to build up your perfect customer persona. So I think you did what you did was brilliant.
I think one thing which also worked for us really, really well and continues to work is that because we'd built such a big CRM on the database, we kept consistently engaged using SurveyMonkey. So SurveyMonkey is a free service, or minor cent if you go to a bigger number, where you can actually ask your customers, if you have their email or mobile, you can actually ask them for their opinions. It goes to their email. They do a 2-second survey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That fed back to us immediately, because one of the problems we had in Cork, we were allowed to open at one small period in it. And we noticed that we were extremely quiet. Reached out to all our patients from Cork who had had a doctor treatment. And the feedback, we were panicking. Hey, the business is gone. What are we going to do? We have huge rents here. This is really worrying. And what we heard from the patients, hey, it's COVID. And hey, we don't want to travel outside the 5K, no matter what the circumstances. And here's where we live. So that was able to calm us down a little bit. It's an amazing tool. And the other thing we did was, because the CRM we use is so powerful, we're able to now see patients that haven't come back yet. And we're able to encourage them in with not huge money offers, but certainly, hey, we noticed you didn't finish your treatments. By the way, we'd like to get you in. Here's a free X on us, and come in as part of that. And all of a sudden you've retained that customer. Okay, there's a small little bit of cost to this, but at the end of the day, if you retain them for X months, years, that cost is easily won back.
That's perfect. Thank you, Pat. And I have a second question for you, actually. Given the team are spread out in the clinics around the country, and obviously now in the US as well, how do you maintain decent engagement with the team?
We use actually an amazing Cork company called WorkVivo. It's a really incredible platform. We found that we had huge problems with, there was at one stage, I think 14 different WhatsApp groups plus the main group. So people were like, I'd say, hey, everybody, I noticed that, can we do this today? And I'd see that like tens of people would ignore the message. And then we had to go into our teams and say, what's exactly happening here? And they were telling us, hey, I'm just overwhelmed by this. I'm on my day off. I didn't see it. So we worked with a company in Cork called WorkVivo, and they work with Nike and loads of worldwide companies. And what it does, it actually allows us to engage all the team in a kind of a fun way. Hey, I saw this on Netflix last night. Who saw it? What are you reading at the moment? And just people now put kind of tips, because what you have to remember is, if I'm burnt out and I'm tired, everyone's burnt out and tired. Your team members as well, because even if they've been sick, I keep hearing people saying this, and I find it really insulting. Oh, they've all been sitting at home on the pup and they've had a great break. No, they've all been sitting at home really stressed. And now they're back to you and they're still stressed. So we're all in this together. And I think there's this kind of a thing where we really all have to think about each other to get through this together.
It's a very good point. And yeah, as you both yourself and Steve mentioned as well, your teams played such a key role in being able to pivot during this pandemic. And I suppose, Steve, my final question to you there is, you're the man that can do it all. So you've personalized your brand naturally, you've managed to control all the bases, and you've developed and expanded your own team. Is there any tidbits of knowledge you could share with anyone logging in today?
Panic, and panic quick. I mean it when I say it. When I you know, there is no playbook. There is no right and there is no wrong. You know, and what I find was I just to kind of reiterate what Pat said was I trusted my team. And it's a very, very hard thing, you know, from a very controlling person. I like to keep everything and I like to keep it this way. And the best thing that I possibly did was to let go of the reins and say, listen, guys, I trust in what you do. I've hired the right people. You have the vision. You know what I'm after, and to invest in those people. And I think that's the best tip I can give you. Yeah. And then, you know, go home and cry at night. It's okay to cry. It's all right. You know, God is good. You know, it's whatever. You know,
Thank you.
If you see me on the side of the street crying, you just tap me on the back and say, it's fine, Steve, we know it's all right, you know.
We know you're just having a moment. It's okay.
Just having a moment, exactly, yeah.
That is perfect. That's all the questions we have for today. And thank you so much to Pat, Steve, and for Roisin for joining us today. I really appreciate you giving our time. And I'm sure everyone has kind of taken the notes and walked away with something new there. So thank you so much. And like I said, we'll be sharing the recording with all those who've registered for the seminar today. And we'll also be sharing it across our newsletter and anything like that. So if you do have any webinars that you do want content on, please don't hesitate to reach out. And finally, I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye, guys. Thanks very much.
See you later.
Thank you. Bye now.